So in this video, we're going to talk about conversations that get dates. And I'm going to talk specifically about meeting women during the day. We're not going to talk about bars. So I want to make that distinction. Now, not to say that you can't apply some of this to bars here and there, but when I'm thinking about it, that's what I'm thinking about. When it comes to conversations that get dates, I want you to think about 5 things. These 5 things are very important. And you need to have these in place before you can really even say anything. See, a lot of guys want to rush to, what do I say? How do I say it? How do I talk to a girl? But honestly, that's probably the smallest part of your problem. If you don't have these other things in order, then what you say is actually going to fall flat. It's not going to work, even if you say the best things in the world. And don't worry, in the next video, I'm going to cover what you say if you've got these 5 things in order. So, number 1, have fun. If you're not having fun when you're approaching women, if you're turning it into a job, you're making it all serious, you're thinking too much, you're analyzing, then how is the woman going to have fun? See, women feel all of your emotions. They transmit. There's literally almost like this conduit between you two when you're actually connected, and she feels everything you're feeling for the most part. And if you're feeling crappy, well, you're going to make her feel crappy. If you're feeling really nervous, you're going to make her feel nervous. So the most important thing is that you come up as present as possible, having fun, feeling good about yourself. Now, if you can't do that because you're too scared, that's okay. Because what you can do is you can start to enjoy your fear or your anxiety, your nervousness. Work on actually learning to laugh at yourself, learning to call it out. And when you walk up to women, let them know, look how nervous you make me. Don't try to hide it, but show up in the midst of it. The difference between the two is, hi, my name is Brian. I just want to tell you you're really pretty, where I'm actually letting the anxiety overtake me, and I'm demonstrating that to her, and me showing up, being a little scared, maybe even a little shaky, and saying, hi, my name is Brian, and I gotta be honest, I'm really nervous right now, but I had to come over and say hi to you. I mean, look what you do to me. You make me really nervous. There's something about you. And really showing up in the midst of that nervousness. And what you're going to find is if you can do that second one, that over time, the nervousness is going to go down and you're going to get calmer and calmer. And it's going to feel better and better to you and therefore feel better and better to her. Number 2, be grounded. The key here is simple. You have to be the grounding force in the conversation. Well, what does that mean? That means you have to be the one that feels like he can handle the shit when the shit hits the fan, that can handle the tension, that kind of stabilizes the force. You know, think of a tree. A tree, the tree trunk to the branches and the leaves is very grounding, and it roots into the ground. It creates this sense of solidness. Well, a guy that's grounded feels down into his body, feels solidly down into his body, and it literally helps when you feel your legs. And I imagine my legs going into the ground. I actually feel my legs literally while talking to a girl, and I feel my lower body and I relax into it. So I'm not leaning into her, I'm not pushing her. And in this grounded state, whenever she says anything to me, I don't become reactive. You see, non-grounded people, ungrounded people become very reactive. She says something and they're like, oh yeah. They rush to respond. Now, grounded people, because they can handle all the nervousness and the energy coming at them, the tension coming from her or the emotions coming from her, they don't rush. She says something, they calm down, they feel their legs, they feel their tree trunk, their root. They take time to respond. Okay, yeah. And then they continue talking. They don't rush, they're solid. So there's a sense of groundedness. Like a lightning rod can deal with the lightning and grounds it, but the lightning rod is not reactive to the lightning. It's just sitting there, relaxed, calm. So number 2, feel grounded. Have fun is number 1. Number 2 is feeling grounded. Number 3, add tension to the conversation. Play with tension, dance with tension, have fun with tension. And for those of you that haven't heard about the tension concept from Fearless so far, tension is one of the most important pieces in having a powerful conversation. A lot of guys are always killing conversation by taking all the tension out of it. They want to make it as tension-free as possible. And yet, in doing that, they make the conversation horribly boring, horribly plain, and the girl gets bored and doesn't want to go out with you again. Because we love tension as human beings. We need tension. Now that might sound different than other things, contradictory, let's say, to some of the other stuff that's been said out there. But in truth, we do love tension. I mean, think about it. Why do you go to the movies? You go to the movies to watch an action flick or drama or some type of movie, but there needs to be some form of tension in there. And in that, you get excited, you get nervous, you get scared if it's a scary movie. We don't go there to watch a movie with no tension. Same thing as going to watch sports. We go to watch sports because there's tension, there's conflict in there, and there's the resolution of conflict and the excitement that goes into that. Well, it's the same thing in conversation. You need that tension for the conversation to be exciting. For anything to grow, it needs tension. If I plant a seed in the ground, the seed has to break through the shell and dig roots, thereby grounding itself, and then it grows up and eventually grows into a tree or a plant or whatever it's growing into. And it requires that tension to do it. So tension is essential. Now, when I'm sitting here relaxed, calm in my body, enjoying my own tension in my body, being grounded with it, the next thing is I got to bring tension to her. And that can be done by looking in her eyes a little too long, pausing a little too long, speaking maybe just a little bit slower if you tend to rush, narrowing your gaze and looking into her a little bit if your gaze is a little soft. And you can also bring too much tension. So if you're bringing too much tension, it's backing it off. If your gaze is too penetrating, relaxing, paying attention to your periphery a little more, relaxing into your body a little bit more. These things are essential. Now, tension gets amped up through touch, through particular comments. Like if I told a girl something I used to do a lot when I was first learning this stuff, I'd tell a girl she was trouble all the time, and that would spike the tension. I'd say stuff like, "You look like trouble. You're out causing trouble tonight, aren't you?" And they would just giggle and laugh and say stuff back, and it would cause them to challenge me, and we get into a conversation. Think about going direct with a woman, walking up and telling her there's something about her. There's tension in that. But there's only tension if you do it right, or at least the right kind of tension. So if I hold that eye contact and I stare just a little too long and I say, "There's just something about you. I had to come over and talk to you." Can you feel the tension in that? In me taking the time and relaxing into it, in my own enjoyment of it. Now, with that said, you need to bring tension that's fun, because tension can also cause resistance. If the tension's too strong, too much, too fast, the tension can blow her out, cause her to want to back up. If I come over there and I'm like, "You look like trouble," really fast and aggressive, it's going to be too much. So learning to actually feel the rise and fall of the tension with your body is very valuable. We spend a lot of time working on this in our workshops, teaching guys to feel the tension they can't, having them work with models, working with other students, learning to move in and out until their bodies can feel the rise and fall of this tension so they can actually talk to it rather than thinking about tension as a concept in their mind. They feel it happening in the moment. So banter plays with tension. Cocky funny plays with tension. Being direct plays with tension. Being bold plays with tension. Your movements, the way you use your eye contact, leaning in too close, grabbing her hand would raise tension. But if you're sitting there all night trying to keep the tension as low as possible so she doesn't get offended, where do you want to go to dinner? I'll take you wherever you want to go. And then sitting far back, and I don't want to hold her hand yet. I want her to know I'm a gentleman. She's going to get pretty bored after a while. Because real gentlemen step into tension. They take risks. They make things happen. They move stuff forward. They're not afraid to lead. So that's number 3, tension. Number 4 is the balancer to tension. If you're the type of guy that brings too much tension all the time, then you're going to need some more of this, which is vulnerability or emotional access is another way to say it. Does she have access to your emotions, to what you're feeling, to your vulnerability? Not this sappy, needy vulnerability that we often think about as men that just doesn't work. A strong vulnerability, this sense of strength inside yourself. Like when I tell her about something that maybe was really sad in my life or painful, can I own that? Or do I need her to feel sorry for me before I'll feel good? See, I'm not playing the victim. I'm just being honest about what I feel. I was once, a long time ago, on a date with this woman. I just met her. We were having a great time. And she was being very intimate with me in the sense that she was holding my hand. She was very close to me. And I was really enjoying her company, and she was really enjoying mine. And we were in Paris, and we were looking at this piece of artwork. And there was this really intimate kind of feeling moment. And I went to kiss her, and she pulled away. And I didn't understand why this was. It kind of perplexed me for a minute. And then I realized what had happened was I was being this attractive guy. I was bringing the tension, I was leading, I was grabbing her hand, said, let's go look at this. I was stepping into tension with her, but I wasn't bringing any emotional vulnerability. So she was enjoying my masculinity, but she needed to know there was a human underneath it all, somebody that can get emotionally affected by things, that cares. And so we sat down and we started talking, and I opened up to her and I told her this story about my little sister and about how much I love her and about how she's actually the best raised child my dad's had, and how I'm so proud of her, and how I really would love to, and I really want the best for her. And if I ever have kids, I definitely want to have kids. I want to have someone just like her as one of my children. And what this did was interesting, because I was just sharing in that moment. And this was a long time ago, and I was just sharing my emotions and what I felt. I watched her eyes dilate right in that moment. She grabbed me, leaned in, and started kissing me. All she needed was that little extra bit of vulnerability, emotional access. And she felt the emotions coming off me. That was a true story. I would never lie about a rapport story. That was very true and very honest. And I did this by learning to open up, by practicing, going through my life and digging into all the vulnerable moments, from when I felt sadness to happiness to joy to love to appreciation to curiosity to courage. And I thought about a time when I felt all of those, and I just started practicing telling those stories to people, opening up, especially the most vulnerable ones I could find. And in that, I developed my vulnerability. And again, I didn't ask anybody to feel sorry for me when I was sad or scared or nervous. I owned it. I let myself be nervous right in that moment, let them see it, let myself be embarrassed, let myself be ashamed, whatever it was, but then I owned it. And that's how you develop emotional vulnerability. Because when you own it, you're encapsulating it in your own tension skills. You're framing it with your ability to handle yourself. Tension goes around that emotional access, that vulnerability, and she can feel it. She feels like she has a man that has access to his emotions, but can handle his own shit, and can handle the shit when the shit hits the fan. And in that, she wants to be there for him. I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but it's true. And number 5, I've already alluded to this a lot, lead. I see a lot of guys that start grounding, start standing there and start working with the women, start playing with the tension, but then the woman starts to enjoy them, gets excited, and then the guy just sits back and lets her take the lead. She starts asking all these questions, but then he suddenly starts disappearing. And as he does that, he doesn't take the lead anymore, and she gets bored and goes away because he thinks he did all his work on the front end. You're a man. It's your job to lead. You don't have to be doing it all the time, but you have to be doing it, fairly consistently to some degree, especially when you first meet a woman. So don't be afraid to grab her hand. If she pulls away, that's okay. She's going to appreciate that you tried. Don't be afraid to say, hey, let's go over there and get a drink. Let's go over to the bar and get a drink. If she turns you down, that's okay. She's going to appreciate that you tried because you're a man. Don't be afraid to ask her out on a date. Ask her for a phone number, to lean in slowly and go for that kiss so she feels you coming. Enjoy every bit of it. Let her either say yes or no. You as a man, you're going for what you want. And it might be 2 or 3 times before she wants to kiss you. You might pull away the first time and say, not yet. And then 10, 20 minutes later, she might be kissing you and all over you. She might be the one kissing you, and I've had that happen before. This is all perfectly normal. So just make sure you keep leading and moving the interaction forward. If you have trouble leading, that can destroy something that is heading in the right direction very quickly. And I can't tell you how many women I've talked to that have said just that. I really liked him, but he didn't take it anywhere. He just sat there. And eventually she just gives up, loses interest, and moves on. And that usually comes from having some level of a nice guy syndrome running inside you. So make sure to practice taking the lead and start right away, because that's essential. A quick recap and then close up. Number one, have fun. Number 2, be grounded. Number 3, build tension. Number 4, build and play with tension, that is. Number 4, play with vulnerability, emotional access. And number 5, make sure you take the lead. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a lot from it. Make sure to comment below. I definitely want to hear what you have to say. If you want to learn these skills powerfully and see them demonstrated in person, make sure to check out our workshops, because we work with live models in the workshops, helping to teach you to understand this stuff. and get it in your body. So it's not just a thought in your head, it's something you're feeling from your body. And again, like I said before, make sure to comment below, subscribe, and as always, what would you do if you were not afraid? See you in the next video. Most people sit and think, but they won't make a decision to do anything. Which is what moves us forward. So you're always one decision away from power. Making a term, positive emotions and feelings to become a natural part of my daily state. Courage, acceptance, peace, love, all these emotions. Starting to feel amazing when it comes to my day-to-day. You see, emotions are not you. Because a lot of people think they are their emotions.